Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into online music magazines,
Mm,
specifically Rock Mantra. What makes it feel so, fresh?
exactly. And we're focusing on their latest issue, number 4, June 2025. It's all about David Bowie.
A complete celebration, they call it.
Right. We're using their homepage info and some really in-depth articles they published on Bowie's career.
So the mission today is kind of showing you how Rock Mantra offers maybe a shortcut to really getting an icon like Bowie.
That's the idea, how they move beyond just, well, standard music journalism.
Let's dive in then. What's so special about how Rock Mantra puts things together? It feels like more than just reading articles.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's curated as this whole immersive experience, multisensory even.
How does that work in practice?
Well, they go way beyond typical features. Take their mixtapes, okay? These aren't just random playlists.
Right.
You've got one called Metamorphosis. It actually maps his genre shifts sonically. Or Echoes of Berlin, which reimagines that whole experimental phase with jazz and symphonic sounds.
So you actually hear the changes, the evolution. That's clever.
Exactly. It lets you connect with the music's depth in a totally different way.
And it doesn't stop there, does it? I saw things like album picks.
Yeah, covering key albums like Ziggy Stardust, Station to Station, Low, Blackstar. But the playoffs section is really interesting.
Playoffs. What's that?
They actually compare tracks or artists, like Nirvana's cover of Man Who Sold the World versus Bowie's original, or even Bauhaus versus Ziggy Stardust.
Ah, so it puts his work in conversation with other artists. Shows the influence.
Precisely. It's not just trivia. It actively shows you his impact, how artists talk to each other across time, plus features on cover art, recommended reading. It's holistic.
That whole approach seems, well, perfectly suited for Bowie, given his constant changes.
Absolutely. His career was all about reinvention. Rock Mantra's style really illuminates that. Think about how they frame Ziggy Stardust.
The killing of Ziggy in '73.
Yeah, they don't just report it. They might use, say, interactive visuals to show how that single act impacted art pop, ideas about identity, gender. You really see his foresight.
So it makes the history feel dynamic, not just a list of dates.
Exactly. And then they track his mid-70s move into R&B, into funk, with Young Americans, fame, his soul era.
Right, and then the contrast with the thin white Duke from station to station. Very different, quite chilling.
Born from personal stuff, right?
Yeah, personal turmoil. Rock Mantra connects the art to the life, so you understand the why behind the shifts in sound and image. It adds that layer of understanding.
And the Berlin trilogy, that must be a big focus.
Oh, definitely. Low, Heroes, Lodger. Working with Brian Eno, 77 to 79, they use curated sound examples, detailed breakdowns of tracks like Sound and Vision.
To show how he was pioneering electronic sounds.
Exactly. Laying groundwork for so much music that came later, things you might not even connect back to him usually. And this detailed, multi-layered approach carries through his whole career, even the big pop star phase in the end.
Absolutely. They covered the Let's Dance global pop explosion in '83, the Serious Moonlight Tour, cementing him as this style icon. Think China Girl, those sharp suits.
Yeah, massive shift again.
And then, crucially, they handle his final act the next day in 2013, and of course, Blackstar in 2016.
Confronting mortality.
Right. They really showcase how he turned his own impending death into this incredibly powerful art, Lazarus, the title track, Blackstar. It shows his creative spirit, his resilience, right to the very end. It's quite moving, actually.
So, yeah, it's clear Rock Mantra isn't just telling his story. It's reflecting his own chameleon nature in how they tell it. Dynamic, multi-layered.
You got it. That's the real strength here, I think. This immersive dive into an artist's whole path. It gives you a much richer understanding, connecting all these different pieces, the music, the visuals, the context.
It feels like a genuine shortcut to being, well, properly informed. You get more than facts, you get those aha moments, right?
Totally. Insights, connections you might have missed.
Which brings us to a final thought for you listening. Rock Mantra's deep, comprehensive way of looking at artistic evolution, especially Bowie's. What does that tell us about how maybe we could approach learning about culture, appreciating art, in this kind of overwhelming information age? Something to think about.